My name is Clara Towson, and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
I am Francisca George, and I'm a friend of the show.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Susan Leemans and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom. Yeah.
My name is Zainab Sammaz and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Hey guys, my name is Sasha Vickery and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Hi, my name is Lloyd Harris and I'm a friend of the show.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Jan Faria and I'm a friend of the show.
Boom.
Yes.
Take one. Well done.
Hi, my name is Jasmine Paolini and I'm a friend of the show.
Wow, Jasmine, you got it in one time.
Ready? Play.
Hey guys, so kind of similar to the show we did with Vansh yesterday, we're just going to talk about basically like all of the action that's happened overnight and also, of course, all of the kind of like, previews for tomorrow. Of course, not all, but some of these matches we'll be focusing on a bit, some probably not. Mario, let's actually start with the United Cup. We, of course, had the last quarterfinal. Not a great result for you this time. I think, Italy, I was expecting to be a pretty, a strong dark horse contender in the event, but they just needed to have that one, needed that one singles win to get to the mixed, and of course it didn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, two very different matches, even in the scoreline was very similar because the first one was, of course, more hard for than the second one, 6-2, 6-2, but Paolini had actually many chances to win more games than what she did against Muchova. Probably wouldn't have been enough anyway, but, it could have looked very much different because starting from that fifth very long game where Muchova got the break, but even after there were many chances for Jasmine to win few games, like 40-15 situation, even a lot 41 in the second set. While the second match, it was really straightforward, both has shown, in the past few months to be able to do. So yeah, it's, two pretty similar scorelines, but two also very, very different matches, which is also okay given that, Paolini compared to Cobolli has, is still something more, Cobolli still hasn't got, much experience. And also he really suffers, both have got matchups that they really suffer. Also, Cobolli suffered playing against Maciak, giving that Maciak started the year with really, really good confidence. Also the previous matches that he played, really narrow defeat against Casper Ruud, and then the win he got against Urkac. Yeah, shown that he's back, playing right where he left in 2024. So, yeah, just a great day for the Czech players, and they've really done very, very well.
Hi Dan, hi Matthew, good afternoon indeed. Paolini Muchova might have been like the tightest 6-2, 6-2 I've ever seen. Honestly, 10 out of 10 breakpoints saved, I think, for Carolina, and also every single long game just went her way. I think Paolini won like 2 games to love, 2 games to 30 or something like that.
Yeah.
And otherwise, there were so many deuce games. And yeah, they just all went Muchova's way. However, you could also see the issues. I mean, she was just like really enjoying herself out there against the serve of Paolini, just running into the net really and always picking it up. Of course, Paolini, once she gets to the net, she had some phenomenal volleys too, but just much tougher for her to get there. And just you can see that she was very tight and like she was forced to risk a lot more than she's comfortable with. And yeah, I mean, phenomenal performance from her. Of course, Muchova has only lost to Świątek so far, which was also a straight set victory that was very tight, kind of like today, even though today was even 6-2, 6-2, not like the one against Świątek. And of course, Machac, as you said, only lost to Kasper so far and has been absolutely phenomenal too. So let's kind of follow up on that. And of course, tomorrow we're going to have the 2 United Cup semifinals. We already did a Poland-Kazakhstan preview with Vanch yesterday, but if you have any thoughts on that, obviously go ahead too. However, maybe let's also do something on Italy against Czechia, since that was the one that was set up today. And of course, Thomas Machac will be facing Taylor Fritz. Karolina Muchova will be playing Coco Gauff, so the recent Beijing final rematch, which was pretty easy for Coco. And if it comes to the mixed, it will very likely be the singles players coming up against each other.
Yeah, I mean, talking about, just first of all, this Czechia against United States semifinal. I mean, Goff has beaten Muchova 3 times out of 3 so far, even if she always played there in moments where the confidence, I mean, Beijing, no, but, she had a few wins that really made her back. Her confidence back, and then they played twice in that Magic 23 summer for Coco, Cincinnati and US Open. So, I mean, it's not, we know what we can expect from there for sure. I think the Paolini and Goff, matchups really can show, the kind of player Muchova can enjoy the most playing against, and also the players like Goff, who, are less. Paolini is somebody who, basically, if you don't manage to stay from the baseline and play in these rallies with her, where she can, just find her rhythm with the shots, back and forehand, when she can, also hit the ball on the rise. And then you can put her into a very, very difficult position. While with Coco, it's different. She actually enjoys a lot also to defend, to pass when, if Muchova maybe manages to take the net, and maybe the approach is not phenomenal, and all these things. So Goff can really put Muchova into an uncomfortable situation tomorrow. But even if it's 0-3, I of course think Muchova can have her chances. Let's see. Goff has played really well so far. Even that first set where she struggled against Zhang, but Zhang was playing actually very, very well. It was a very well played set by her. So, I mean, I think Coco starts as maybe, let's say, favorite, for maybe slight favorite. I don't know, but yeah, I think Muchova has the tennis and the qualities to put her into trouble. Even if the head-to-head we have seen her so far, she still hasn't won a set against her. But I don't know. I often don't really want to read too much into that when we have players, with this quality like Muchova. I think tomorrow she can still try to enter the court and play her game and play, if she manages to put on a great performance. I think she can be able to put Goff into some difficult situation, proven that it's still a tough matchup for her.
Yeah, I mean, 3 matches isn't the end of the world. We sometimes just tend to look at these head-to-heads, but realistically, like a big enough sample size would be maybe like 20, 50 meetings to really tell you like how many times someone would beat someone, and I don't know, percentage-wise. But yeah, I mean, it's been tough for her in this matchup for sure. I think both singles and counters there, definitely they are quite similar in that it's kind of the story of today of Italy against Czechia, that like they will just be hoping for 1 point. Like Czechia is not expecting to win this match 2-0. If that happens, sure, I mean, obviously they'll take it, but they kind of just want to get to the mixed. And I'm not saying they are even like favorites in the mixed or whatever, but we know that's a lottery. The teams basically have zero experience playing with each other, so it's just going to be a pretty random scenario if they can do it. We'll see. And as I said, I think Poland Kazakhstan has been kind of,
Another thing we can add about their head-to-head is that I think it's the first time they play without incredibly big pressure. Because I know there's team competition, they still have the pressure of playing for the team. But the 3 times they faced, it was 2000 finals and a Grand Slam semifinal. So
yeah, because since he was also final, right? So yeah, sure, makes sense.
So probably also maybe the better ability by Goff to manage the expectations and the pressure in the big matches can also have played, I don't know, a difference in these encounters. So let's see. And then, I mean, I think also Macha can have his chances for the way he played so far. Let's see if he will be able to. Yeah, of course, I think both, they kind of start as, underdogs, maybe Machak even a bit more, at least considering, the ranking and, their careers so far. But both can have their chances. So let's see, maybe one of them is able to take them. Yeah, I agree with you on that.
Brazy, I was not clean shaven on January 1st, but I am pretty hairy. Yes, thank you. Or not, thank you. Anyway, yeah, Poland, Kazakhstan has been kind of covered on the channel, but if you have any thoughts on that as well, obviously Świątek Rybakina is the big clash there. We'll see whether Hurkacz delivers. It was obviously good for him to like get that first win on the board of the season against Haris, but Shevchenko is a bit of a step up from there. And I mean, yeah, Świątek Rybakina is just a mouth-watering clash for tonight.
Yeah, especially because of, how their matches have proven to be, kind of unpredictable, meaning that, both have been able to beat the other. And actually, in every kind of circumstance, hasn't really even the surface played a big role in their matchups, because Rybakina being able to beat Iga on the clay, even if it was Stuttgart. I mean, Rome, I don't really consider it because of all the circumstances, the injury during that match, but still it was a pretty close affair. And then Doha, where Iga won last year. So yeah, I mean, it's also difficult to do a prediction. Let's see also if Higa has recovered well, because she has had, tougher matches than Rybakina. Even Muchova, it was a straight set. It was not 3 hours like against Bulter, but it was still, a high quality opponent against who, she had to grind. And I think, of course, both can have their chances, and let's see who manages to take them. It will be for sure a great one, because they always produce some great things against each other. So we'll see. I don't remember if it's the first of the second match.
Second.
The second. Okay, so of course it will be also important to see, which of the two players is kind of forced to win the match in order to, to keep the team alive in the tie. Let's see. Of course, Hurkacz, I think, starts as a slight favorite against Shevchenko, even if, Hurkacz hasn't played incredibly well. Shevchenko has done also something fine this week. Let's see. It's kind of tough to predict. Both ties have their favorite teams, but not that much.
Dave, actually, the WTA Tour has confirmed that Vukov is or was provisionally suspended. And Brazy, when it comes to the cold handshake, I mean, I can't tell you that this is it for sure. However, I actually watched their match live like 18 months ago in Poznań. It was on a court with no seating, which is pretty wild to think about right now, considering that they just played an ATP Tour quarterfinal. And basically, there was this line call at 11 all in the final set tiebreak. It ended up being 13-11 for Mpetshi Perricard. And Menchik was very angry about it at the umpire, and I think also at GMP. He was totally wrong, by the way. Like, because it was the last match on, because it was one of the last balls of the match, I was able to get onto the court after after they finished, and basically there was no other mark, when where the umpire was checking. Clearly, Menchik's shot was out indeed, but maybe it's because of that. I've got no idea. Another kind of like, let's say, very subjective take would be just he might kind of think that what GMP is playing isn't tennis really, and be frustrated about that. I think a lot of players would be, considering, when you're facing Karlovic, Isner, Opelka, GMP maybe even especially today, so, because the second serves, right? So
today I'd say it was less, even, at least, putting the racket on the ball. Menchik has managed to do it quite a good number of times, because Mpetshi didn't even reach 20, which is not usual for him. I mean, today it was actually a match. I mean, I enjoyed it a lot. Not that I don't enjoy when he hits 13 aces, but I mean, it was not that even the speed, it was not that huge as usual. I don't know if it has to do maybe with him, trying to, I think he also tried to slice a bit more. Maybe it was some kind of tactic against Menchik. I don't know. It's frustrating, that's for sure, to play a guy like that, because, you know that even when he misses the first serve, it's still very difficult to return, because you get to face a second serve, which is usually very, very fast as well, and very well placed also, so it's difficult. But yeah, I mean, I don't think it's nothing to really stay there and think about it for a long time, talking about the handshake. So let's see. Tomorrow we will have, a semi-final between him and Opelka. Let's see. Maybe there will be some long tie break, probably. Let's see.
Yeah, here you have that ball mark that I mentioned, brought up by our producer. I mean, just to be clear, Brazy, I didn't say that GMP is at all servebot. I'm just saying what a player facing him might be feeling like, considering that the second serve especially, you're just thinking like, okay, the guy is rolling the dice, because he is. Mathematically, it makes sense for him. He's getting great results with that, but he's rolling the dice. It's like kind of the same if someone is moonballing you. It makes sense for them. They might be beating you, but you might kind of get frustrated and think, what are we playing? This isn't tennis. So I think that's probably also included. And that Poznan drama, I have no idea if 18 months later it's still in Meshik's mind, especially as it was no fault of the umpire or GMP. So, but I mean, yeah, there was clearly some animosity between them, and it's not from Gio's side, not at all. It's obviously Menchik who came up with that very weird handshake where he doesn't even look at the Frenchman, and you can even see that GMP is like, what happened? Anyway, that's not that important right now. We already kind of jumped sort of smoothly into Brisbane. So let's talk about that one big result from today, which was Riley effing Opelka beating Novak Djokovic. Somewhat unexpected, considering all the big server success that Novak has had in the past. Of course, Opelka also just like having that Newport semi last year and then never really doing all that much until the end of the year. But he's like firing on all cylinders this week. And I don't know if it means much going into Australia for Novak that he lost here.
I mean, it was a great performance actually from Opelka, I have to say. Play a really, really good match. Even better, I admit, than I was expecting, because I admit that I had not watched any of his previous two matches in the tournament. So I had in my mind the image of Opelka that I had indeed when it was Newport, and which was a totally different thing than compared to today. So credits to him, because he played actually a great match. Talking about Djokovic, played a couple good matches today, not his greatest performance also, not only in my opinion due to Opelka played incredibly well. And I think that this week basically confirms what I think about Djokovic for the Australian Open. Somebody who we cannot sleep on him for sure. But at the same time, I know that it can happen a day like this for him right now, where you have an opponent who has an incredibly good day, plays really, really well, and you don't manage to find your way, to into the match to turn the tables around. So, it just pretty much confirms what I think about Novak for this year. I still believe in the fact that he can produce great performances and he can do something special, but at the same time I know that he is more vulnerable than in the past. And so days like this one, it's possible that it happens, and that's what I think.
Yeah, I don't really want to go into like super deep conclusions from just this match alone at all. I've seen some interesting comments on my Twitter that like people were saying that hand-eye coordination and the return skills, they kind of also decline with age, which is very true. I think still, considering Australia, like Novak will be the favorite against anybody but Sinner and Alcaraz, really. And if he plays them, like that's maybe when we're going to see, in best of 5, whether he can still beat them. If he doesn't, he'll still have a shot at winning this event for sure. Whether Riley Opelka would beat him in a best of 5 scenario, no idea. It was definitely some just obscene redlining from Riley, the way he was hitting his backhand cross-court, especially, maybe considering that's not usually like his strong suit. And I think that Mpetshi Perricard Opelka match, it will be Oh, someone actually had a very good expression about this on in one of the comments under my tweet as well, that like this will be both an exciting and a disgusting match to watch, and I very much second that. And I think the most exciting part about it is just like how kind of Mpetshi Perricard took over for Opelka in a few ways. Because, you know, at first we had the serve bots, if you may. Brazy, I do not agree that Ivo Karlovic was a total serve bot. Slicing is also a skill. Volleying is also a skill. Anyway, we had like the standard of Ivo Karlovic, John Isner when it comes to players who are, you know, serving like this and moving like a tree. But then Kevin Anderson shows up. Then Riley Opelka shows up. And they're kind of like the gold standard. Of course, Riley is still much taller than Kevin or GMP. But like Opelka was kind of the gold standard of, with a serve like this, you can still move relatively well. You can still play up the baseline. And then Mpetshi Perricard is just like whole other league. You know, this is happening at basically in any area of life, that people who are this tall are now also capable of being dynamic, athletic.
Yeah.
And I mean, it just seems like Mpetshi Perricard is in many ways an improved version of Opelka. Let's see if he can prove it tomorrow, as obviously we are expecting that match to be a bit of a tiebreak lottery. Ivo Karlovic had no backhand. I mean, you know, his topspin backhand didn't exist, but slicing is a skill. You know, it's a backhand as well. Well, I'm probably more skillful when it comes to his volleying for sure, but slicing is also a thing. And if he was a better mover, I think he would be pretty good in the rallies with it. It's just obviously when he was on the back foot, that was, well, just a you know, he was just trying to pray basically and try to get that error with a slice. What else do we have here from Matthew? I have felt since watching Novak win gold that best chances. I remember you giving that take. Still, like beating Sinner Alcaraz at Roland Garros, maybe that's actually even tougher than at the other slams. So probably maybe like Wimbledon still for me, or Australia, simply because it happened 6 months earlier than Wimbledon.
Let's probably say that maybe even if, I mean, this year at the French Open, it was not actually, that way, even if, I mean, Novak then injured himself in round 4, but even the match against Musetti, it's not like Novak was really far from losing, you know, he was down 2-1. So yeah, I don't really know. I simply think, stand by my idea that, of course, Novak can still play incredibly well. I agree that he can be the favorite against most of the players. But I still think, that, of course, with the age and all these things, right now, it can happen a day like this when you face an opponent who maybe a couple of years ago, it wouldn't have put him into, this big of a trouble. And right now it can happen. So, maybe they play, tomorrow and Djokovic wins this match. But it can happen, even at the slam right now, as it happened, I don't know, maybe against, the US Open. He can have a day where things are not going that good.
Yes, and indeed that's true about Isner. He started playing tennis like a lot later than most of his other peers. As it turned out that just the height alone can make you a good tennis player. No, of course, I'm kidding. But anyway, Brisbane, that's going to be the action for tomorrow. We also have Dimitrov against the Hedgka, and John said that in the chat that basically Djokovic can't be the GOAT because he never won Brisbane. Well, Grigor Dimitrov has won Brisbane, and he's definitely the GOAT of that event. For what it's worth,
nice.
He's going to come up against Lehechka. Let's maybe move on to the ATP action in Hong Kong, where we had some pretty crazy upsets today. I mean, Alexandra Miller beating Fils again, just another one of these very defensive, very consistent players. We had Musetti being up 6-2 on Munar and then losing. So we are arriving at like a pretty weird event in the end. Of course, Nishikori securing that top 100 return is a big story. And he also has a rematch with Jerry Shank coming up.
Yeah, I mean, two kind of weird matchups because, Munar now is 4-1 against Lorenzo and Mueller beating Fils 2 times out of 2. But I mean, probably I'd say, both kind of weird because they had won, especially because they had won pretty fair in the first set. So you probably, don't expect them to turn the things around. but yeah, I mean, two players, Fils and Musetti, that for what they are so far, I mean, we have seen playing incredibly well, and but at the same time, we have seen them having these kind of days where they can just not be able to express themselves at the highest level for the whole part of the match. And yeah, I mean, we will have kind of a surprising semifinal, which is not bad at all, because we can still watch these two guys playing against each other to reach a very important ATP Tour final for their career, and also to start very well their season. Actually, Munar had lost 10 out of 10 deciding sets playing in tour level matches last year, and he won 2 just this week. So, starting his season better. It was actually a long time since he last made a semifinal. Yeah, so two players who, probably got kind of a surprisingly positive week, but today they showed great grit, and also used the fact that their opponents haven't managed to to stay consistent with their level, and the level we have known that we can express. So yeah, now they will face each other, but there's also another semifinal with Nishikori. Great story, of course, for his comeback, because he's 35. So I think he has kind of the urgency to be back to where he belongs. I mean, I'm not talking about where he was in 2015, 2016, but higher in the ranking compared to where he is right now. And managing to do it, actually very positive for him to start the season this way, also because he beat some tough opposition so far, so proving himself to still be very, very tough to beat for everybody, probably especially in these kind of conditions, which have always been the best for him, despite him being able, of course, to play well everywhere. And Shang, of course, is a player who maybe, let's say that among the youngsters, we can say that he's kind of the most similar one to the way Nishikori plays, even if there's still differences between them, but
Even
just
but
yeah,
I don't know
just
if it counts.
yeah, just the ability of playing this kind of quick tennis on the rise, something similar from that point of view. So it will be very, very interesting, of course. For all four, will be for sure a great storyline to potentially get their hands on the trophy, and so this for me adds even more to the excitement.
Yeah, usually it's like the second week of the season, so like the week before the Australian Open,
right.
when the ATP Tour Tennis just dials in on the crazy. Whereas this time in Hong Kong, we already are there. I mean, honestly, I would love a Jaume Munar ATP Tour hardcourt title. Like
I
that's
know.
by far, that's by
At this
far my
point.
favorite story here. If it happens, it would just be amazing. I think Jaume Munar, he could win it to 50 somewhere, probably on clay, but if he wins it on hard courts, it's just going to be so insane, and I would love to see it. Let's talk about the WTA action for a bit, as we also then have to mention the wunderkind Fonseca at the end. But Brisbane, I think today, of course, Ashton Kruger, the favorite of Nurlan, lost. However, I think the biggest story by far was Mirra Andreeva beating Ons Jabeur again in a much more competitive match than their 2024 Australian Open clash.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a positive signs for Jabeur all around this week, considering, where she is right now. So, I take this as another positive sign to play the kind of match she played against Andreeva. And also for Mirra, of course, because, it's never easy actually to play against somebody like Jabeur with that style, especially if Fonse is gaining back some sort of confidence throughout the week. So actually never easy to do it. Now, of course, it will be interesting to see her against Sabalenka, who yeah, just keeps minding her business. Probably she even, kind of went a little bit unnoticed this week because, United Cup has many WTA stars. And so maybe the focus from, the most part of the public is kind of switched towards the United Cup. So, Sabalenka, at least that's been my feeling. And yeah, she has played very well for some part of the tournament, a bit, worse in some moments of these matches, but, just did what she had to do. It will be an exciting semifinal, that's for sure. Especially, to see Andreeva. Of course, Andreeva beat Sabalenka, even if, there was some stomach issue for Arena at the French Open. So I still want to see how the match play out, especially, on a court which is, a bit quicker. Sabalenka in Australia, of course, playing incredibly well over the past years. So it will be a tough challenge for Andreeva. But yeah, let's see what it can happen. And then the other semifinal, just also there, good storylines. Kalinina, Kudermetova, Polina, of course, not Veronica.
Higher ranked on Monday than Veronica.
Yes, exactly. She will be the number one of the sisters. And yeah, also there, it's kind of what you were saying about the second week. Usually it was kind of the other week where the WTA, this tournament was getting a little bit more open. For example, last year we got a Sabalenka Rybakina final here. So yeah, it will be for sure interesting. Of course, Sabalenka Andreeva feels a bit like, some sort of anticipated, final, let's say. But of course, not to sleep on the other two players who can, for sure, try to win, of course, this important match ahead of them for the ranking and for everything. And then try to play in the final with, kind of nothing to lose.
Yeah, I was gonna say that it does kind of feel like the final, especially if Sabalenka wins, as you said.
Yeah,
there will
especially
be
that.
some tough moments against Putintseva, but the way she's fought through them, it just kind of gives you even more confidence that even when the matchup won't be that pleasant, she's probably gonna pull through, unless she faces a player who's got that quality to kind of like almost match her, and that could be Mirra. Of course, she still hasn't really like beaten her when fit, let's say, but yeah, that's a super exciting match tomorrow, that's for sure. And they were pretty much like they were the only 2 seeds out of the top 16, right, to make the quarters.
Yeah.
They're still there. It does feel like a bit of a final, but indeed, it's going to be a slightly different event to when we had.
Yeah, let's
Sabalenka
just say that at the French Open, still the majority of players would have lost against Sabalenka anyway in that match. So just shows that Andreeva can think at least of of being a tough player for Sabalenka to face. Let's see if it will already be the moment in Brisbane or not, but we'll see.
Yeah, today definitely a very different matchup, but I loved how she's just like super cool and comfortable in all these cat and mouse games that Ons basically makes you play. Of course, Ons still should have taken the second set, like there's no doubt about it. Could have gone the other way if it goes free. Probably not though, because fatigue-wise, I think Andreeva would have been definitely the fresher player. But anyway, that was basically what happened today. Very different matchup, but so exciting simply because it's one of the biggest prodigies we have right now against the world number 1. Brazy thinking that Poland will go all the way. I mean, very possible, but then you got that match against the US, and if it goes to the mix, anything can happen. It would be very nice for Hurkacz to secure that after what happened last year, but I don't know. Against Kazakhstan, of course, yes, we're the favorites. I mean, Świątek Rybakina, I am treating this as a 50-50. Hurkacz-Shevchenko is not truly a 50-50. And if we get to the mix, we should be a little stronger, even if I love the Rybakina-Shevchenko combinations in just one of the matches, actually, because so far they only needed one match in the mixed. Otherwise, they were playing Kulambayeva and Nedoviesov, I think so. So yeah, we haven't really seen them all that much, but in that one match they had, they were really just partnering really well. And there's also Auckland, which has been like a little rained off today. 2 quarterfinals finished only. it's a big win for somebody, actually, I think, and it's a pretty big win for Naomi Osaka. I'd say that this situation has emerged. However, I guess Robin Montgomery also falls into that. Although at least Keys and Towson, they are already like, well, if it goes right for Clara, she might just need 3 games to win that one. But Volinets and Parks didn't even start, so it might be a little like, the situation of the energy will be a bit lopsided. But yeah, still the biggest story of the event has been Naomi Osaka, even if she hasn't faced like a, top quality opponent.
Yeah, especially because, at the beginning of the week, there's been that interview that came out where she kind of stated that, literally she won't hang around if, her results fails to reach her expectations. So of course, watching her having a positive week so far, feels good, of course, for tennis, for herself. First semifinal since her comeback, because last year she hasn't managed to play any. So yeah, for sure it's good, especially coming back after being a set down. Still she dominated the last 2 sets, but still proves that she's kind of also in a right spot, probably also mentally, ready to fight back if something goes wrong in a match. Now let's see. It can be important for her, of course. It's a huge week for her, because even if it's just a 250, let's imagine that the week ends perfectly for her and she manages to grab the trophy, and only the feeling of, for a champion like her to put your hands into a trophy again can for sure give you, a big confidence boost towards what's next this year.
I thought that the only player putting her hands into the trophy is Iga Świątek when she's picking up the tiramisu, but apparently Naomi Osaka as well. Anyway, Dave, yeah, that's something that was revealed recently, and indeed it seems like there's just so much more pressure on her right now in order to like get a big result almost as soon as possible, so that she stays in the sport. Of course, last year it was kind of wild because, well, at least at one of the slams, but maybe even at 2, she had the level for a deep run, but then ran into somebody really good in the second round, missed her chances. And that also probably kind of like, developed into that feeling for her where she doesn't really know if she can keep going like this. Of course, generally over the course of her career, that's been a big, well, I don't know if an issue, but, she's had trouble staying engaged sometimes. Anyway, there's also one more preview-ish thing we need to do. We actually want to talk about a challenger storyline here. We're not going to be mentioning Rei Sakamoto blowing 7. I mean, well, Barrère almost blowing 7 match points. We are also not going to be talking about Asan Karatsev, who's been amazing. We are also not going to mention Mourani Bouzigues, who is like in one of the wildest challenger final runs I've seen. However, Joao Fonseca, once again, he's going to face Ethan Quinn in the final. It's a match of 2 players on a win streak. But let's talk about that match that happened today at first, because Fonseca against the guy who was 90% in challengers last year, Jacob Fernley, that was a big one. And the match, well, I mean, it was fine, but it was just domination.
Yeah, and the whole week actually. But yeah, especially today, you're right to mention, because, of course, the match was, the toughest of the week, let's say, even if the whole week has been kind of tough, because let's not forget that this is a challenger which has been, stacked. The draw was full of great players, and so, to just manage to reach the final as if it's kind of a walk in a park, for him, it's a huge deal, especially after what we've seen actually a couple of weeks ago at the Next Gen final. So building this kind of momentum for sure is going to, probably playing his also last qualis in a while in a Grand Slam. Let's see. I mean, just a great player, managed to do incredible things so far, and it's just the beginning, that's for sure. You can feel it when he plays, and even against Fairley, it was just great tennis. It was not easy at all. I thought that this match could have been very much hard fought, even if I knew Fonseca was on a great run and I know the quality he has, but I still thought, that this could have been, kind of a tough test for him. And not that it hasn't been in terms of maybe the feeling on the court, but the feeling we got outside is that, he really passed the test, without many issues, and, just great to watch. And now an interesting final, because, if there's a player who right now can, try to beat and defeat him this week, is a player whose confidence is very high, like Quinn. So, if maybe he enters the court and the match starts okay for him, so, he doesn't maybe right away fall behind in the score, and then it can start being, kind of a good and entertaining and, maybe even match. So let's see what it happens, because even Quinn has played incredibly well this week, actually starting from qualis, dropping just one set so far. So we'll see. I think, it can be maybe a bit tougher for Fonseca if Quinn manages to bring, his level and confidence into the match. But yeah, I of course think, Joao enters the match as the favorite given what is shown, this week.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I would call it forgotten how to lose, because I think that's what we say when like someone is on a big run and they're like barely losing their matches, barely winning their matches. They're just fighting through some incredible adversity and they're barely staying in it, and that's when they like forgot how to lose. He's just like crushing everybody, so it's a bit of a different situation to me. Someone today told me on Twitter that like Barrer Sakamoto is going to be the match of the week or something like that. And I'm thinking, what was there in Canberra? And I just realized that Canberra is one of these events where, Fonseca is just so good that there's no classics. Like, there's no good matches in here. It's just Fonseca rolling over everybody, And of course, you cannot really play 50 great matches in a row. It's impossible. However, at this point, like with his floor being like so much higher now, thanks to the improved serving, also how he's returning at the moment, like it's possible that he's going to be able to avoid a stinker, sorta, as in like when he's not hitting, his best stuff, he probably might still win if the quality gap between him and the other player is high enough. And yeah, right now, I mean, the way we're looking at Fonseca is just like, okay, can he? No, we're not even asking the question, can he win this? It's kind of irrelevant. Like everybody is looking at Australia already, and can he qualify? Personally, like right now, of course, there might be some like fatigue concerns, but this is not a physical week for him so far. So personally, right now, I can't really imagine a qualifying section where I won't be picking Joao Fonseca to make it. And then if he makes the main draw, like he just joins Nick Kyrgios, clearly Riley Opelka, all these guys, as in like the players you don't want to face in your opening round, the players you will be like running scared from, basically. So yeah, it's been a fantastic rise. Fernley was just simply no match for the aggression that Joao was able to produce. Serve return, very big contrast too, even though, of course, Fernley is also quite strong usually in these areas of the game. But I think Joao's block return was much more awkward for the opponent. And of course, the serving, yeah, that's something that we've been praising since the Next Gen finals. The smartest version of his game as well that we've seen so far. So that huge leap he took kind of like between the months of November and December is still very much there. Well, we'll see about that qualifying thing, which he said. I mean, quarterfinals Rio, quarterfinals Bucharest. He's dropping some points, but playing like this, yeah, I mean, once he gets to the top 100, he probably never falls out bearing injury. Top 20 at the end of the year, says someone in the chat. I mean,
that's still maybe it happens, but it's not easy.
Yeah, it's not easy to make a jump like this, but the level right now, the level that he's playing at, I think it is sort of around that ballpark. Of course, kind of just purely eye test, since we don't have any data points. Top 50, I think right now is kind of the goal that everybody expects after the Next Gen finals. Yeah. It can backfire, Nakashima, Medjedovic, but well, considering how he started the year, a win or two at a slam, that's pretty low. That's low balling it. But yeah, we don't get Landaluce Fonseca. Should we be disappointed, or can Quinn bring it? I don't think we should be disappointed. I was a little more excited about the prospect of Landaluce playing Fonseca, more or less purely based on the fact that they had that incredible clash in Lyon in November. But Ethan, I mean, 11 matches in a row, the best version of his game we've seen. He's also like another, super powerful player who, like, once the game is clicking, it's clicking, and he's very tough to beat. So I don't think he's playing quite as well as he was in Champagne this week, but certainly is a player who can potentially trouble Fonseca. But at the moment, it just looks like if Joao doesn't suddenly drop his level and have that one stinker performance, it's going to be very tough to stop him at this level, at least. The Australian Open draw ceremony, Thursday, 9th of January. I think Sunday should be the qualifying draw.
2:30 p.m. Okay, so I'll be asleep probably.
What was going to be the day? Thursday. I won't be asleep because that will be the last day of Australian Open qualifying.
That's right.
So definitely not. Australian Open qualifying is a day is a time where I won't be sleeping at all.
4:30, for me in Italy and you as well, I think. Yeah, exactly.
That's what it says on the screen. Honestly, I was just reading off the screen. So yes,
your time, as Nick says.
Yes. Hi Nurlan, a little late. I mean, obviously you can super chat a message for me. I mean, I'm pretty sure that super chatting is related to giving us money. So go for it, Don't worry, brother. Just go for it, obviously. And we will be going in a couple of minutes. So better be quick with it. Of course, I'm kind of kidding, but we will be going in a couple of minutes. But of course, any whatever that message will be, we will definitely read it and respond to it if there's something to respond to. Nurlan, a little late, but thank you for joining. And Ivo Karlovic was not a serve, but okay. I mean, it's what I said. It's a quote.
That I think that it's wrong to think, for me, somebody can be a serve bot and still be able to do other things. I don't think because serve bot, in my opinion, means simply that he serves unbelievably good, It's kind of a serve machine, but then doesn't really imply that he cannot do anything else.
Yeah, it depends how we understand the term serve bot. Like, we might just go very far with it and say, okay, so the guy has to like only serve, do nothing else well, really. And in that sense, it's going to be tough to find a player who's, going to be like in that conversation. So personally, I just like calling serve bots, like literally I can go to Mpetshi Perricard, Opelka, maybe not Kevin Anderson, maybe not Milos Raonic, but like these guys, I'm still comfortable with calling them a serve bot. However, when I wrote a tweet today about Mpetshi Perricard and Opelka, I put serve bot in quotes. So that maybe also kind of reflects it. I mean, that's not all Dr. Ivo did, because if you're serving well, like usually you're also going to be going to the net. Like, I don't know, Albano Olivetti, is he serve bot? No. I mean, he also volleys well, It's a different thing. So again, it depends on where you kind of set the ground rules for yourself, essentially. I would say that's maybe it's more about how you define the word rather than what they were actually playing.
Yeah.
Because with a serve itself, you just end up being a Tobias Simon. Anyway, Mario, do you feel like you're a bad luck charm for Novak? I'm sorry, it's a weird question, but we have to answer one from Nurlan at least.
It's all due to me, to my presence in the world, that Novak is not winning anymore titles, I mean.
Yes, I mean, we had to answer a Nurlan question. We will also answer another one. Can you not extend the show for me 10 more minutes? No, we can't, because Mario has to leave. And, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Mario.
Maybe I am a bad luck charm for you as well, Nurlan.
You could be. You very well could be. And, once again, thank you, everybody. Thank you to the producer, the chat guys in the chat, Dr. Ivo Karlovic for making my childhood, Dr. Novak Djokovic for making Mario's adulthood. Anyway, once again, thank you, and let's enjoy all the action overnight. And join us for WTA Weekly on Sunday, as John says. Sometime. It's the 5th, right? Yeah, the 5th. So 2 days time. I've been like really struggling with dates this week. Anyway, once again, thank you. See ya.
Thank you.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.